Hi guys, Artiar here. So there's viewer actually asking me to make a video about like who should you actually summon for. It's like kind of like the series I made for the other game, my main game. So in Etheria start we have Freya currently at the banner, and then the upcoming banner we're gonna have Hoyan and also Holden. So there's gonna be two rate up character to the banners here. So probably you'll be wondering, should you actually go for Freya to guarantee her, or should you go for the other two characters? So I'll be analyzing through my own perspective. It's just based on my perspective. It might not be correct as well. So I will just give you my opinion. So you're just gonna like take a reference and think about it. Should you actually go for it? Alright, so first thing about Freya, right? So Freya, we already know that Freya currently is gonna be used in most of the content. She's guaranteed gonna help you in like let's say your shell drop here. If you watch my video, I've been using Freya for all my shell drop currently, not including these two yet, because I haven't tried it out. But Freya have been doing a very good job in my PvE content and my PvP as well, because her kit is pretty solid. So for my module drop here, she's using in my transformation and also can be used in Doki Doki. Aurora not gonna be used because it's a green element, but you can still use Freya until Nightmare 3 for in Aurora. But the moment you reach Hell, then you're gonna stop using Freya there, because you're gonna get additional damage from using Freya because of the holo enemies, right? And then the other content like GP Outpost, EXP, the Echoes, Phantom Theater, Amber Track, basically every single content in the game, you are able to use Freya. So why Freya is so universal is thanks to her passive. So if we look at her passive here, your passive from the single target, right? Every time your ally gets a buff, you get turn meter. Every time enemy get a debuff, that's 70% chance to reduce the turn meter, which means in this kit herself, she already provides you turn meter boost and turn meter reduction. And then she also apply Dream Realm for you, which is if you get debuff, then you consume 1 stack to purify, which means she also bring cleanse into her kit. And then she have Nightmare debuff, which can increase the damage taken from the boss, and then also heals the attacker, which means she have heals in her kit, and also debuff that can increase your damage deal, and also providing defense break for your team, defense up for your team as well, and attack up for your team. So Freya herself, she's covering buff, attack up, defense up. She's covering damage increase buff, which is Nightmare. She's covering cleanse for you, which is Dream Well. And then she's covering you turn meter boost and also turn meter reduction. So just by these 5 key points, is actually one of the most universal enemies you can actually use, as long as you're not going to fight a Reason character, because you're going to be disadvantaged. But other than Reason, most of the time you're able to use Freya. So if you ask me, should you get Freya? If you don't have Freya yet, then I will recommend you to get at least 1 copy of Freya, unless you're trying to gamble Freya through the perma banner and see if you can get Freya or not. Alright, then the next upcoming character is going to be Hoyan. So Hoyan here, this is the video itself released by the official. So we already can see the skill kit here. So in my opinion, I will say she is more like an overall PvP unit in my opinion. Okay, so why am I saying she is actually a PvP unit instead of PvE? First thing, she is a green unit. So green unit here, the content that you can actually use is either like Termination or either Doki Doki. But because Doki Doki, there's actually a lot of mob, and then her kit is more about single target deal. So if that case, if I have Rumoka or if I have Grey, I don't think I really need to actually summon for Hoyan. And not to mention, they will actually be included to the perma banner at the same time. Because based on a patch note here, we can take a look. New enemies debut. The update introduced 2 enemies joining to the Anima limited summon, which is the rate up summon and also perma summon. So which means Holden, this guy here, and Hoyan, this girl here, they are both going to be at the limited summon, which is this one here, and also at the perma banner. From my understanding, it should be like this. So if you don't want to go for the limited summon, which is fine, or you can try to gamble through the perma summon as well. Come back to Hoyan here. So the kit here, S1, you're gonna do 2 hit of damage, and then you're gonna put anti-heal, which is you cannot let the target receive heal. So most of the PvE content, alright, most of the PvE content, they don't have heal, unless you're doing like the other towers content or the like event kind of content. The enemies got heal, or else most of the time there's no heal, and there's only 25% chance to apply the heal, even this is a max skill up. So this part here, I will say, is more about countering in PvP content to counter healers. That this is the her S1, and then if we take a look at the S2 here, when Hoyan is about to die, so if she actually dies, she'll immediately revive, restore 60% of max HP. It's not technically revive, she don't revive, but it's about to die, then she instantly recovers 60% of max HP. I have no idea if applying an anti-heal on Hoyan can actually counter this or not, about the recover max HP, because it's restore, right? But we're gonna see about this. But immediately restore 60% of max HP and immediately use the execute right, which is the S3, to cast the damage to the target, and then she'll get a buff, fleeting glance. Every stat increase the attack by 40%. So we can see here from this passive here, she wants to die. She wants to die to actually trigger the effect, and most of the PvE content, you don't want to die. Unless you're in PvP, because in PvP you might actually die and then you trigger the passive, and then she casts her S3 to the target. So that's the reason why why am I saying Hoyan is actually gonna be a PvP character. Okay, then we take a look here. So when she's gonna die, she'll instantly recover 60%, instantly cast S3 to the target. So in PvE content, most of the time we don't want to die, right? We want to actually maintain in the battle. But she have a revive kit. If she able to nuke one of the target, then she will get a fleeting glance and revive her teammate. Okay, so this part here I will still say is more towards for PvP. Then the S3, Holden consume 50% of her current HP and do damage, and ignore 6.5% defense for every 10% max HP loss. So let's say you're at max HP, you consume 50% of your current HP, so you're gonna have a total of 32.5 defense ignore in her kit. So and again, this is single target. So single target and the green element usually you'll be used is gonna be in Doki Doki or either Termination. Then Termination here we don't really need her. It's because we have like Krolos, we have like Deting, we have like the other red Esper that does a better job in Termination anymore. So we don't really need another Esper, another enemies to actually fight in that content. And Doki Doki we have Remoka, which is doing a better job with the AoE since there's so many targets. So I really don't think that Hoyan is needed if you are trying to progress in PvE. I will say that if you're a PvP player that you really want to play more about PvP, her kit is very strong for PvP because we only have four enemies in the battle, and then once she's gonna die, she's gonna revive, she's gonna cast S3 for free, and then this S3 here is pretty pain. You can defense ignore, and the multiplier is very high, 480%, and then this S3 here can be cast by herself and also through the passive. And then the S1 here got anti-heal to counter the enemies like healing kind of team comp. So overall, Hoyan is a PvP character, so if you don't really go into PvP content at the moment, you don't really need to summon for her at the rate up banner. I will still say Freya have a better value because you want buff, Freya still have. You want some tankiness, Freya can also provide you. You want some heal, Freya can also provide you. So in my opinion, personally, I might actually skip Hoyan and go for the other one. I think the other one is more interesting, which is gonna be Holden. So I think Holden kit is actually very solid and very strong. So let's take a look here. The S1 here deals 3 hit and it's a defense skilling character. Every hit have a 20% chance to inflict defense down. Okay, the defense down chance is a bit low, but it's totally fine. So why I want to say so is because there's 3 hit. So you have a 20% chance to trigger it 3 times. You have a 3 times to trigger it. So if you don't trigger it, it's also still fine because you have a very unique passive. At the start of the battle, every 500 defense he's gonna give himself additional counter attack rate and 5% final damage. So let's say you start the battle with 2500 defense, you're gonna have 50% counter attack rate and 25% final damage. So he's gonna be so tanky, and he's gonna do damage because of the defense skilling, and then the more defense, the more tanky he is, the higher counter attack rate and final damage. So because you're gonna hit him, and then he is so tanky through the defense, he can't die that easily, and then you're gonna trigger his counter attack so often. So, and Hoyan here, the element is a raid element, so you can actually use Holden in Termination and also Aurora. So why am I saying that both got this PvE content can be used? Because let's say in Termination, if you're building a very tanky team like Health Kit plus Beyonce plus Holden plus other healer like let's say Valerian here, you make a very tanky team, you just rely on token Holden to keep counter attack. It might actually be possible because you have Hellkey to provide shield, Valerian to provide shield, then you have the other character to provide like survivability, and then you just rely on Holden to actually counter attack, it might actually work. And every time you counter attack, because Holden have a defense break in his kit, you might actually can get rid of Dina in your team and you apply the defense break. Okay, so this is very interesting. And then the other thing about is this one here, right? Is at the start of combat, you instantly get extra stats. Then let's take a look at the S2. S2, you deal damage based on 480% of his defense to a single enemy, and a 100% chance to push back the target's turn meter by 100% and maximize their skill cooldown. So I'm not sure if this maximize their skill cooldown thing can work on boss or not, I assume not. But 100% pushback, which means you're gonna just, let's say you are fighting the boss, you're targeting the boss, you cast S2, the boss turn meter instantly becomes 0, and you're doing 480% of your defense. This calculation here is not including the final damage you're gonna do through your passive. Assuming this passive is going to apply the whole thing, right? Like Freya, for example. So you should be able to get a counter attack rate and final damage, and this final damage here should be also applying to your S2, and your S2 here with 480% of multiplier will do a very high damage. And he's also be usable in PvP because you can build tank, you can build a bruiser, right? And then you have counter attack, you have defense break, you have turn meter reduction, and very high damage, and also max CD increase. You're gonna just max out their CD, don't let them use any skill. So this skill here can also be used in PvP and also be used in PvE. But if we take a look at this clip here, right, the boss here, he have the skill, and then when Hoyan cast the S2, it did not max, like, increase the skill cooldown. So I think it did not, it won't work on boss, but the turn meter do affect on bosses, which is still gonna be good. Then the S3 here is what I think that, or why Holden can be also used in Aurora rather than just Tormation, is because you're gonna do 2 hit. Based on your defense is AoE damage, and every hit have a 50% chance to dispel 1 buff, which is kinda the same amount of dispel RNG with the hand reach passive. Okay, so you have 2 hit, you have 2 times of 50% chance to roll to dispel 1 buff, so you can dispel Aurora's immunity from the enemy, and then applies 2 turn of attack down and resist down. So the only unit we're currently using in Etheria start more often about the resist down is going to be Marvel. So with this thing here, it reduce their aggressive, goes for reduce their attack, so they're gonna do lower attack, and then reduce their resist down, so and also dispel. So let's say the enemy got immunity, I'm gonna build him fast and tanky, and then when they attack me, I have so let's say I cast S3, I can dispel the immunity, I apply attack down and resist down, then when they hit me, I have a chance to counter attack, and my counter attack here might have a chance to apply defend down, which is 3 kind of different debuff with a counter attack rate, with a final damage increase in his kit, and then with a turn meter reduction in his kit as well. And then the S3 here have also a dispel. So in my opinion, within these 3 characters, either you're going to go get Freya, or either you get Holden. In my opinion, I won't get Hoyan because she's more like a PvP character, and at least at the moment, I don't really interest in PvP yet. I'm just gonna do whatever in PvP. If I win, I win. If I lose, I don't care. I just want to slowly progress in the game. I enjoy my own tempo, right? So and not to mention, if this attack lands a critical hit, the chance of applying this effect, the attack down and resist down, is gonna be double, which is double the chance of applying attack down, resist down is going to be very high, which is pretty consistent. But I'm not sure about the dispel. I don't think the dispel is going to be 100% chance. We're going to test this in game because I don't have like, that's in Etheria start at the moment, there's no like a test server for me to try out character. So everything is just based on paper, and at least for now, based on what I'm looking at, there's an Aurora sample here. Let's take a look. Okay, Aurora sample S3 dispel and apply speed. And apply speed down and attack down and resist down. So it's so good, and it's an AoE thing, so you can reduce everyone's attack down and also the resist down. It's easier for you to apply the debuff. So yeah, TLDR, in my opinion, I will be going for Holden or Freya. So, but since my own account, I already have Freya, so I will be going for Holden for the next banner. Or if you don't interest with both of these characters, you can actually save more unit. Who knows, after the rate up banner of this current Holden and Hoyan, we might actually get other unit that is more worth it, right? But at least for now, I would say Holden have a higher priority than Hoyan based on my own playstyle. Okay, because I really like this kind of character that can have self-counter attack, self-final damage increase, defend break, attack down, resist down, dispel, and turn meter reduction. I think she's a lot more universal compared to Hoyan. So that's my advice. So if you are still progressing in early game, I will advise you for Freya. Freya can carry you for most of your content. Then if you're already at Freya, then I will advise you, if you really want to summon, you can go for Holden. Then Hoyan will be for the players who enjoy PvP. So that's it. I might actually be wrong, but based on my suggestion, you can take your own choices and let me know who are you going for. Are you going for Freya or Hoyan or Holden, or you're just gonna save your summon until a character that you actually like. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed the video and see you guys in the next one. Bye bye. Special thanks for the direct support on the YouTube membership. So for the benefactor of Artiar, which is GenMP, SPVCEJVMQ, Trendcan, thank you so much for your support. And also special thanks for the supporter or patron of Artiar, which is Louis Schneider, Agni, Wang Tamer, Ziggy, Kamaruki, Sunwalks, Rimu, Choni, Antonio Winterspoon, Cragran, Calamity, Rokos Tendions, Jordan Alons. Special thanks for your support. And also special thanks for the Super Thanks MVP, HMZ, RY, and X, Reeks. Thank you so much for your support. Special thanks for the direct support on the live stream super chat for the latest tag. Thank you so much for Code Wardeners, Calamity, Agni, Love Fatima, Fatima Little Underwear, Bloods, Riku Fred, Choni. Thank you so much for your support.